Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's begin with today's story. He never thought he would ever be good enough for her. She was beautiful, intelligent, funny, everything that he wasn't. But somehow she chose him. And it made him question himself and their relationship over and over. It all started when Mark first laid eyes on Sarah. He saw her walking across the crowded room towards him, and his heart skipped a beat. There was just something about her smile, the way she carried herself, the sparkle in her eyes that drew him in. He had never felt this way about anyone before. As they got to know each other, Mark discovered that Sarah was not only beautiful, but also incredibly intelligent and funny. She was passionate about her work as a doctor, and Mark could listen to her talk about it for hours. He found himself falling in love with her more and more each day. But Mark also knew that he didn't deserve her. He wasn't as successful as her. He didn't have as much to offer. And he struggled with feelings of inferiority. One night, after a particularly intense conversation about their relationship, Mark told Sarah how he felt. He poured his heart out to her, admitting that he didn't think he was good enough for her. To his surprise, Sarah responded by telling him that she loved him for who he was, not for what he had or what he could offer her. She said that she chose him because she loved him, plain and simple. Mark felt so relieved to hear this, but at the same time, he couldn't help but feel like there was more to the story. He knew that Sarah was too good for him, and he couldn't understand why she would choose to be with him. As the months went by, Mark's insecurities continued to grow. He began to overanalyze everything that Sarah did, looking for signs that she was unhappy in their relationship. He started to feel like he was suffocating her, and he knew that he needed to make a change. He realized that he needed to focus on himself and his own happiness rather than constantly worrying about whether or not Sarah loved him. So Mark decided to take a step back and try to enjoy their relationship without all the added pressure. He stopped overanalyzing everything that Sarah did, and he started to focus on the positive aspects of their relationship. He appreciated Sarah for who she was and stopped trying to change her. And as he did this, Mark began to feel happier than he had ever felt before. And then one day, Mark came home from work to find Sarah sitting on the couch with a serious expression on her face. She looked up as he entered the room and told him that she needed to talk to him about something important. Mark's heart sank. He could feel his worst fears creeping in, telling him that this was it, that Sarah was finally going to break up with him. But he tried to push those thoughts away and focused on Sarah's face. She told Mark that she had been struggling with their relationship for some time now, and she had come to the conclusion that they weren't right for each other. Mark's heart shattered into a million pieces. He tried to say something, but no words came out. He could only nod as Sarah continued speaking. She told him that she had met someone else, someone with whom she felt a deep connection. She said that she had tried to fight her feelings for this other person, but it was no use. She was in love with someone else. Mark felt like he was in a nightmare that he couldn't wake up from. He couldn't believe that Sarah was breaking up with him. He thought that their relationship was strong. He thought that she loved him. But maybe he had been wrong. After Sarah left, Mark felt like he was in a daze. He couldn't focus on anything. All he could think about was Sarah and what she had said. He replayed the conversation over and over in his head, trying to find some kind of explanation for what had happened. Days turned into weeks, and Mark still couldn't understand why Sarah had broken up with him. He missed her every day and wondered if she was happy with the other guy. He found himself constantly comparing himself to this other person, trying to figure out what was wrong with him. He thought about Sarah's words, "You are an amazing person, Mark, and I will always care about you. But I can't give you what you want." What did that even mean? Was he not good enough for Sarah? Was he not enough of a man? One day, Mark decided that he needed to get his life back on track. He couldn't just sit around and mope all day. He had to do something with his life. He started by taking care of himself. He hit the gym, ate healthy foods, and got plenty of rest. He also started seeing a therapist to help him process his emotions and move on from the breakup. With the support of his friends, family, and therapist, Mark slowly began to piece his life back together. He started spending more time with the people he loved, and he began to focus on his career. He set new goals for himself and worked hard to achieve them. Mark was determined to make something of himself, not just for Sarah, but for himself. As time passed, Mark's feelings of inferiority began to fade away. He started to believe in himself again and his own worth. And then one day, Mark bumped into Sarah at a local coffee shop. It had been months since he had seen her, and he couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. He was nervous, excited, and a little bit scared. What would she say to him? How would she react to seeing him? Mark took a deep breath and decided to approach her. He walked up to the counter where she was standing and said hello. Sarah turned around and her face lit up with recognition. She was just as surprised to see Mark as he was to see her. They exchanged pleasantries and caught up on what had been going on in their lives, and as they talked, Mark noticed that Sarah seemed different. She was more subdued, less bubbly than he remembered, and he couldn't help but wonder if she was as happy as she had been with the other guy. During their conversation, Sarah mentioned that she had recently gone through a breakup. She told Mark that the other guy had not treated her well and that she was glad to be rid of him. Mark's heart went out to her, and he couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. It seemed that Sarah had finally realized what a great person she had lost. After their conversation, Mark went on his way feeling hopeful for the future. He knew that he had to let go of his feelings for Sarah, but it was hard. Every time he saw her, his heart skipped a beat. Every time he heard her laugh, he felt a pang of sadness. But Mark was determined to move on. He threw himself into his work and his hobbies, and he started to meet new people. Slowly but surely, Mark began to heal. He learned to appreciate himself again and all the wonderful things that made him unique. He learned that he didn't need Sarah to be happy, and that he was more than capable of finding love again. In the end, Mark realized that Sarah had chosen someone else because she wasn't meant to be with him. It wasn't a reflection of his worth as a person. He had been through a lot, but he had come out stronger and more confident than ever before. He had learned to love himself again, and that was the most important thing. Mark knew that someday he would find someone new to love, someone who appreciated him for who he was. And until then, he would continue to work on himself, knowing that he was worthy of love and happiness.